Honey Wendy-Ann, my name is Michelle from Throw Once Another Letter. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have our April wrap up. Another. Oh my god, look at those dandelions. Also, this is my least favorite part of my life, is crossing a road. Nobody's coming? Nobody's coming? Okay, great. I've never done this before. Never been this way before. Scared as fuck. So I didn't know this, but they actually have a sign on each different plant. And this one's pine. Very cool. That's enough. Autism is enjoying that way too much. What the hell is that? That's what is this? We are in a totally different setting. I decided to walk across the street and here we are. This is very pretty out here, and I don't know, like, I've been feeling kind of sad lately, so I am going to be doing my March and April wrap up here in the Arboretum. Okay, so we're going to go over what I read in March. I only read like 2 things in March. 2 or 3, maybe. I think I was reading something else. First one that I finished was In the Same Boat, and this is by Holly Green. I already talked about this in my South Dakota Teen Choice Award video, which you should go to if you haven't seen it yet. I rated it a 4 stars. It was pretty good. It is about this girl who wants to compete in a canoe. I think it's a canoe. Canoeing. It is a boat that goes in the water, and there's like a contest, and like hundreds of people participate every single year, and it's like 200-ish miles or something like that. And I don't know, it sounded good. I read it, it was good. There were parts of it that I really liked, and then there were parts that I was like, I want to punch every man in this book. Otherwise, a good time. The one that I read for my Indigenous literature class, and that was Indian Boyhood by Charles Eastman. And this I rated like a 3-star average. I don't know, Charles Eastman was like a doctor, and he really, it's ironic that I'm doing this right now because he was very conscientious about the outdoors. I'm actually going to link a video or link an article that he did about the outdoors and the importance of the importance of the outdoors. It's actually really cool because there's multiple studies and claims that he has made that actually like turned out to be true. We're gonna move into April, and that is Ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silko. I really enjoyed this. I read this for my Indigenous literature class. So this follows Teo, a Laguna Pueblo from World War II, like the end of World War II and down, and he struggles with PTSD, and it's really bad. Like, he has nightmares and he gets sick, and he has to visit multiple mental facilities. His aunt is very indifferent to him. She does not like him. I'm pretty sure she hates him. But they actually lost his brother / cousin in the war, and it was really awful the way that it happened. And reading this book, the first like 50 to 70 pages, I think we had to read like page 72 the first time, and reading this was just really hard because he struggles with he struggles with trying to get a hold of himself, and also with his indigeneity a lot. There's a lot of well, we went to the boarding schools, and then we had to go to war, and just this never-ending cycle of pain and addiction. And oh my gosh, this was a lot for me to read, but it was good in a good way. So I definitely would recommend it for people who want to read something like deep and profound and like really thought-provoking, because this is really thought-provoking, but also it's a lot emotionally and mentally, so just be careful. The next one that I read was Rainbow by Sunny Gloam, and this is a graphic novel, and it's sapphic, I believe, and I don't know, it was just okay for me. I rated it like a 3-star, nothing like super significant. Dear Wendy by Ann Zho. This is a debut novel, a YA contemporary, which talks about asexuality, ace, and like the culture around like the classification of asexuality in the LGBTQ space, and I liked it. It follows Sophie and Joe. They both have accounts with Wellesley. There's like Dear Wendy, and then there's Wendy Wellesley or Wanda Wellesley. I like this well enough. I think what I personally struggled with was some of the characters, like just how mean they are to each other, and like it's never like truly resolved, but the discussions about asexuality and the validity of that is important, and I did appreciate that. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give this like a 3.5 round up to a 4. I definitely recommend it for people who are ace. I do recommend it for people to read, even if it wasn't like 100% my thing. There were still parts of it that I did like and did appreciate, especially as like a demi person, and talking about like what you do and what you don't like about romance and intimacy and sex and things like that. So the next one I read was Heartstopper Volume 5 by Alice Osman. I rated this a 5-star, and it was good. I liked it. Nick and Charlie are really cute. So the next one in the Dear America series, we have Where Have All the Flowers Gone? The Diary of Molly Mackenzie Flaherty, by Emily Emerson White. And this one I rated a 4-star. This one covers part of the Vietnam War, and it is about Molly Flaherty, who is a like I think Irish Catholic family in Boston. Yeah, Boston, during the start of the Vietnam War, and her brother goes off to war, and she's kind of like, what am I gonna do now? So she decides to volunteer at a veterans hospital, and I really enjoyed it because it covers more of the like culture around it, because there's people that are not for the war, and then there's people who are for the war, and she goes to volunteer at this VA hospital. Hi, good morning. She goes to volunteer at this veterans hospital, and you get to see like different types of characters, and the way that the war has kind of like encapsulated the culture, and it's small, right? It's 168 pages, but I really enjoyed it because Molly is so funny, and her instincts is to volunteer and to like figure out what's going on and to become involved, and I really enjoyed that. Ooh, this one I read for my vlog, which was Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Acevedo. Oh my gosh, this was so good. So this Clap When You Land is about these two sisters. I'm so nervous. It's okay. So it's about these two sisters who, one is from the Dominican Republic and the other one is from, I think, New York. Like, I can't remember if it was Queens or if it was the Bronx. Their father is supposed to I think it's come back or leave. No, her father is set to leave to go to the Dominican Republic, because I think it's like the end of the summer or like the beginning of the summer, and that's what happens he's there for one daughter during the school year, and he's there for the daughter during the summer, and the plane crashes, and their entire lives are shattered. However, they don't know about each other. They don't find out about each other until kind of like partway through, and this is about them trying to figure out what they're gonna do after their dad has died. And I loved it so much. There were so many lines that just like dug into my heart. Clap When You Land really just had me in an absolute chokehold because of the fact that these two sisters had no idea who each other was, and then they finally, you know, figure things out. And I loved this so much. There were parts in it that this had me crying, wailing, bawling my freaking eyes out. It was so good. The next one was a graphic novel. It is called Sunny Makes Her Case by Jennifer L. Holm and Matthew Holm, and this is like the 5th book in the Sunny series. So Sunny is a girl. It's set somewhere in the 1960s, late 1960s, 70s. I think it's 70s, but it's set somewhere in between the 70s and 80s, in Pennsylvania, Connecticut. I can't remember which state, but basically, she's just living her life. She's a middle grader, and I always really like these ones because she's just such a fun character because she wants to fit in and she wants to like make friends and stuff, but also she's really cute. It was good. I liked it. She joins the debate team. They like make a debate team, and they one of the boys likes her. Another Dear America, we have My Secret War, the World War II Diary of Madeline Beck. This one was solid. This was a 4-star for me. What I personally liked, this was about World War II as well. However, the thing that I liked the most about it was the community aspect, because her father left to be on like a ship, I think. Her father is on a tank, like, oh gosh, what are those ships called? But her father is leaving, and she's like, oh, my dad's probably not going to be that far away from, like, combat. He's probably going to be fine, blah, 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 blah. Well, then stuff starts to hit the fan. This takes place in Long Island, New York. So crap starts to hit the fan, and she realizes, like, oh no, my dad is, like, actually, like, I think it's when Pearl Harbor hits, and that's when she realizes, like, oh no, my dad is, like, in the middle of war. So she starts this like coalition thing at her school, and this boy that she kind of likes like joins in. I think she's like, I want to say she's like between 11 and 14, but they start this thing, and then they also start looking around the beaches because there's a what is it called? There's like the U-boats. There's like German spies, and but also what I personally really liked was that there was her and her mom were living in this like house with like apartment building or like a something like that, where it was like every family had a room. I think it's called a boarding house. Her mom and her are living in one room, and then it's this one boy in this other room, and then this girl and her mom, they moved from Germany to get away from the Germans. And then there's like the owner, Mrs. Burke or Miss Burke, I think it's Miss, or I don't know, lady. So she's there, and they all form this like little community, and I don't know, I really liked it. This one I also read was How We Ricochet by Faith Gardener, and this one I rated 3 stars. It was just okay for me. This is about a girl who has to deal with the aftermath of a shooting. She was not shot. She was not shot at. She was at like a little bit of the food court, and her mom and her sister were in the place where it was happening. Like, the guy shot himself like right next to her sister, and her sister has been carrying this around, and it's about the aftermath of all of that and how they deal with things, hence why How We Ricochet. And for me it was just okay. I would have liked this a little bit better if it had been from the point of view of the person that actually went through like the big trauma. This was still a little trauma, which they all should have gone to counseling. Like they all should have gone to counseling like immediately. So I think that's why it was a little unrealistic for me. Ghost Roast by Shawnelle and Shawnee Gibbs and Emily Cannon. This one I rated a 5 out of 5 stars. This is such a cute little graphic novel. I really loved that one because it's about ghosts, and there's like this mystery that also unfolds, and I just really liked it for the art. And then the next time we had was When Christmas Comes Again, World War II Diary of Simone Spenser. This one was also very solid. This is by Beth Seidel Levine, and I rated this a 4 out of 5 stars because so we are following Simone and her brother. Both her brother enlists in the army, and her parents are like not very happy about it, but they're like, well, at least you're enlisting rather than getting drafted. They just want to do their part as siblings. Like, they're very, like, I have not yet read a war book with Dear America where they haven't either volunteered or enlisted on their own. Next one I read was Freshman Year by Year-Sarah Mai. This one just straight up made me stressed out, which I did talk about in the vlog. This follows Year-Sarah Mai. This is kind of like a memoir graphic novel, and it's all of what happens during her freshman year. She goes through like a breakup, she has stress about her finals, about fitting in, about trying all of these different clubs and things to try to fit in, and yeah, it is stressful. Then we read Ways to Play by Lynn Miller Lachlann, and this one was just cute. Oh, I read West to a Land of Plenty by Teresa Angelino, or The Diary of Teresa Angelino Viscardi. I hated this one. I hated this one because they are traveling from, I think it was like New York to Idaho or something like that, I think, and the entire time it's either her sister or her, and they're like mean to each other, and there's just nothing in it that I was like, yes, I like this. And guess what? It's because Jim Murphy wrote it. I have beef with men writing little girls. I have beef. I got beef with Barry Denenberg. I got beef with Jim Murphy. So every single time I read one of these stories and Jim Murphy or Barry Denenberg is the author, I just know I'm gonna hate it. I'm not gonna like it. The ones that have been written by women, good, solid, great. I have not once read a Dear America book written by a man that I was like, yep, that one, the best one. So the next one I read, I did not read this one, but I count it as read anyway. I gave it a 3 stars, and this is, I will link it in there, but this is an Instagram video of Tom Hardy reading I Am a Tiger by Kevin Carl Newson, and this was cute. This was just straight up cute. He is so good at reading books, so I count it as read, and you can go down in the comments and get it read to you too. Another Dear America that I read was A Time for Courage, The Suffragette Diary of Kathleen Bowen by Catherine Lasky. This one was solid. I rated it 3 stars. This one it also takes place during this one takes place in the early I can't remember what year it is, but I know it's also during the takes place during, I think, the Great War, because the Christmas one, that one's also about the Great War, I think, and people are like, oh, I don't want to be involved in the war, or like, no, I don't want to have anything to do with the war, and but then the suffragettes is the end-all be-all of like, we want women's rights and what we're gonna do to get it, and women are imprisoned and treated horribly, and she just wants her mom, and her mom is like doing all this stuff and protesting in front of the White House, and she is following the words of every single of these women, and I don't know. I read the first and the second Surviving the City by Tasha Spillett and illustrated by Natasha Donovan, and if you know me, you know I absolutely love Natasha Donovan. I love her work, and this also covers missing, murdered Indigenous women, and it follows 2 girls and their friends, and more so follows one character than the other, but she experiences like foster homes and also like the death of her grandma because she has cancer, and it's just really sad, but it was good. I can't wait for the next one because it also brought up Two-Spirit at powwows and their presence, and the cultural significance of that, and how that there's some people who disagree on whether or not Two-Spirit people should be included in powwows, or if it's like wrong for them to be to dance in a different in the category that is not their like at birth. So like it'd be Two-Spirit people wanting to grass dance, or Two-Spirit people, or Two-Spirit people wanting to fancy shawl or jingle dress, or anything that is considered to be in the binary. And honestly, it's so sad the way that colonization has altered that has altered that part of Native culture of like, oh, it's you're only man or only woman. Is like, no, there are so many different gender identities even in Native culture that we don't remember because it was taken from us. And that's on colonization. Ooh, the next one I read was Chlorine Sky by Mahogany L. Brown. If you didn't know, I read another Mahogany Brown back in December for a This Is What Should Have Been on the Goodreads poetry, which I will link down below. And Chlorine Sky by Mahogany L. Brown is, I believe, a young adult poetry collection. It's written in verse. It is so good. It is so good. It's friend dumps her, and she's really sad about it, and she is trying to make different friends, and her sister is mean. Her sister is so mean to her. So the next one is for our traumatized Catholic people, which I read The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. This one hit it out of the park. This one was so good. There were so many lines in my soul that it felt like Elizabeth Acevedo had just like scooped these memories out of my head. And I hate the fact that this is a universal experience. I hate the fact that there are parts of the ex-Catholic religious experience that all of us have had to go through. There were parts where she was talking about her mom asking her like, have you had sex, and like interrogating her, that I was like, eh. I hate the fact that this is I hate the fact that this is also my experience. I hate the fact that there was one time I came home and my mom was like, you're walking funny, have you been having sex? No, Mom, I'm 16, I haven't been doing shit. But there were just other parts of this book that I was absolutely sobbing, crying. I was like laying in bed, just tears streaming down my face, listening to this. This was an audio delight that I was absolutely so incredibly grateful for. It was so good. I will never forget this experience. Never. It's gonna be one of my favorites, hands down, till the end of time. Anytime somebody's like, oh, I want to read something written in verse, I'll be like, The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. Now we're on to another Dear America, and that is Land of the Buffalo Bones, by the Diary of Marianne Rogers by Marshawn Dane Bauer. And oh my gosh, so this is kind of like a memoir of sorts, or like an account, but it's basically, she took parts from her great somebody and put this all together. And let me tell you what, it was hilarious. It was hilarious to read. I'm gonna talk about it more when I recount the entire series as a whole. But oh my gosh, there were parts of this book that I was like, ooh, it sucks to be you, girl. It sucks to be you, Mary. Well, technically her name was Polly in the book. Like, her nickname was Polly. But it's like, damn, Polly, sucks to be you. Like they come to this land. Nothing is built. They have to build it themselves. They have to live in a big old mud house, basically. And there's snakes, and there's bugs, and rats, and like all of this other stuff that they have to deal with. And then her friend has to go through some horrible stuff, but like, shout out to her friend for like getting out of that. And like, it was a whole journey. It was a whole experience. I wrote down so many things, and it was a 2-star. Like, I didn't like it at all. But colonizers got what colonizers got. So, in the end, it all worked out. Okay, so I Talk Like a River by Jordan Scott. This was a 5-star. This was a simple, it was 18-minute audiobook. So this is basically about the author himself narrated it. The next that I read was And We Rise by Erica Martin. I rated this a 4-star. This one definitely should have been a physical. This one should have been a physical read, because reading it via audiobook, there were parts of it that were printed, and it would make more of an impact. This one is another Dear America. It's called I Walk in Dread, The Diary of Deliverance, Trembly, Witness to the Salem Witch Trials. This was ridiculous. This was absolutely ridiculous. I rated this a 1-star. 1 whole star. Because the entire time I was reading it, I was like, I thought this was going to go a completely different way. But basically, this is about deliverance and the affliction, and the way that the whole thing is a farce. The whole thing is absolutely ridiculous, the way that this entire town was so encapsulated by this phenomena of what happened to these girls. I don't know what happened. Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese. This one took me multiple days to finish because I was listening to it via audiobook, and I think that I benefited from that, but also at the same time I was really having an issue because I was finishing books left and right, and so the fact that this one took longer, I was like, ugh. But basically, Only When It's Us is part of the Bergman series. So Ryder and Willa is a soccer player. She's very badass. She's very much like, everything is this way, and I don't need help from anybody, and I don't need anybody in my life, blah 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 blah. And then Ryder is just like, I don't want to wear hearing aids. I don't need people to tell me what I should and shouldn't do. And it's just, they're very much headstrong people, but it's a whole misunderstanding, frenemies type of, they're grappling with their feelings for each other and trying to pass this class, and you get to know the Bergman siblings. There's 8 of them. There's a bunch of books on it for every single sibling, which I really love and enjoyed, actually. I have all of them, so you will be hearing about them as long as I read the books. And so, yeah, I would definitely recommend this. This is good. This is, honestly, these are good books for when you're first starting, to branch out in romance. And so the very last book that I read was The Cool Code by Deirdre Langland, illustrated by Sarah Mai. So we got to see more of Sarah Mai's illustration, and I really liked this. I really enjoyed this. This one I gave a 4 out of 5 stars, I think. It was a good middle grade. Thank you so much to HarperCollins for sending this to me. So that was it for me for March and April. So that is it for me today. Links are down below. Make sure you subscribe. What did you read during April? Do you have a place like this that you can go to? I really like it here. If there were parts of this that you couldn't hear because of the wind, I'm so sorry for that. There's nothing I can do about that because, we're out in nature. But I thought this was a good time regardless. Make sure that you're feeding yourself. Make sure that you're nourishing yourself. Make sure that you're hydrating. I certainly am. I have I'm about a mile away from home, honestly. Enjoy the land that you walk on because somebody colonized it. I just want you to enjoy the land that you walk on. Enjoy the earth. Go touch some grass, okay? Even if you live in an apartment building or something like that, go outside, touch some grass. And if you can't touch some grass, have somebody get you a plant and touch your plant. I don't know. Figure it out. Land back, free Palestine. I don't know. I'll see you later. Like and subscribe. My Patreons are down below. My birthday is in 12 days, so that's great. And I'll see you.
What is going on with me and driving? Yes, I can drive very well.
I'm trying to get a bunch of bitches to kneel.
Jonathan? I don't like it. I don't like it.
Cut the check. Cut the check.
Get that picture off the monitor.
Where's my husband?
Baby spider, baby. Squirrels are scary, man.